I literally cannot believe that I'm making this video, but today I'm going to be doing my June reading wrap up, which means we are officially halfway through 2026, which is literally insane. I went a little crazy and read a lot of books this month. Honestly, my new thing that I've been doing at my internship is listening to audiobooks while I work. So I get through so many books that way. I get through like 2 audiobooks a week, essentially. I did not read a lot of physical books, and I think it's just because I've been like adjusting to this like internship life, which I realize is not a full 9 to 5. I still have 2 days off every week, so like it's not fully the same. But like on those 2 days off, I am reading like crazy. Okay, I have 4 days off throughout the whole week. I have the weekend, and then I have Mondays and Fridays. I literally read like all day, so I am getting through books absurdly fast. I will say I definitely favored my Kobo this month. I read a lot of my Kobo, and I also read a lot of audiobooks, obviously. I did do several rereads this month, but due to how long this video is going to be, I'm taking all of the rereads out. So just know, this is not all of the books I read. I also reread a bunch of books, and if you want to see my new ratings of the reread books, make sure you check out my Instagram, because I post in-depth reviews at the end of the month of all of the books that I read. So I think I've dotted all my I's and crossed all my T's. Without further ado, let's get into the video. We started out strong with my classic read of the month right off the bat, and that was Beloved by Toni Morrison. I have really been struggling with classics recently. I gave this a 3 stars, and I will say it is strictly because I personally found it hard to follow at some parts. Like, it jumps narrators and jumps timelines a lot, and sometimes I was a little bit confused, and that's fully on me. That is not on Toni Morrison. The writing, beautiful. I loved the writing. I loved just like the themes of the book. I loved the concept of Beloved. Like, I went in thinking Beloved was going to be something else, and it wasn't. So like that, super interesting, super cool. I just like, it was a little bit hard to follow for me at some parts, which is totally like, again, a me issue, which is why I landed on a 3 stars for it. Then I read Hate Mail by Donna Marchetti. This was an audiobook. I gave this a 3.5 stars. I thought the concept was really cool. Like, reading about it, I was like, this is gonna be a good book. And the first like 20%, I was like, oh, I'm so locked. I love this. But then it got a little creepy. Like, I felt like a lot of what both characters were doing was kind of like borderline a crime. So that was a little bit weird. I also did not like our FMC's best friend. Like, she was very much like, yes, you should stalk this boy. Which I didn't really love. I also just like, I love a good romance that has great side characters. There were like no side characters in this book except the best friend and this other character that's pretty important. They're the only 2 side characters. So like, we're following our main 2 characters like the whole time, which I realize is like the point of a book, but like, I personally was like missing some like side plots. So I landed on a 3.5 for this. Like, I liked parts of it, but I feel like it got a little bit weird. It also got a little bit repetitive for me. Like, I felt like the middle was just kind of like the same thing over and over again. Yeah, I had very mixed thoughts, which is kind of why I landed on a 3.5. Then I read Heartless by Marissa Meyer. I freaking loved this book, okay? Fantasy is my favorite genre, and I love reading fantasy books that remind me why it's my favorite genre, and this one just did the trick for me. It was an emotional roller coaster. I definitely teared up at the end of this book. Didn't fully cry, but you should see my texts to my friend Izzy at the end. I was like crashing out texting her because she has read this book before. One thing I also loved is, even though it's set in an already established fantasy world, which is Wonderland, Marissa Meyer was able to add her own spin to Wonderland and her own really cool world building to it. And I loved that. I thought that that was a really cool element. So obviously this was a 5 out of 5 stars for me. And I wish I could say the same about Expiration Dates by Rebecca Searle, which I listened to on audiobook. This was a 2.5 stars, and it started so strong. I literally was like, I love this. This is such a cool concept. I love the magical realism. I'm here for it. This is awesome. I had the same thoughts about the ending of this book that I have about the ending of The Midnight Library by Matt Haig, and I'm about to spoil stuff, so skip to this timestamp if you don't want to hear spoilers. Why did she not stay with the man that she had this happy and content life with? I don't understand. I don't understand. I was totally fine with the book ending with the two of them being happy. Not once did I wish for her to be with the other guy. Not once. I was like, oh my god, she finally found the perfect guy for her. So what if that note was a lie? Like, I didn't care about that. I was like, so what if it's a lie? She literally found someone that's perfect for her, who loves her for who she is. Why didn't she stay with him? Why did she pick a man that she dated for 3 months that had issues staying loyal to women or like staying committed to women before they even dated? Like, I don't understand. I don't understand. I was so upset. I was so mad. I was like livid. I had the same reaction at the end of Midnight Library. I was like, why did she leave her perfect life? I don't understand. At least in Midnight Library, you got to see a little bit of those cracks in the foundation where she kind of was like, I'm not really happy. Didn't see that in Expiration Dates at all. She was fully like, I'm really happy. Oh, guess what? I'm not going to marry you and I'm going to go run away with this guy that I dated for 3 months like 5 years ago. What the actual hell? Like, I'm sorry. Excuse my language, but like, I was so pissed at the end of that book. The only reason it got 2.5 stars is because the beginning was so good. But like, I was crashing out. I was so mad about this book. Then I picked up Third Girl by Agatha Christie. I got this from the library and have since returned it, so I don't have my copy anymore. But this was a 5 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed this. This is a very well-written Agatha Christie. It was cool. The pacing was really good from start to finish. I was very invested, and I always love it when like the result of the mystery is so well done. This one was very clever, very well done. I enjoyed it a lot. It was really cool. Then on my Kobo, I picked up The Devoted by Catherine Cho, which is on NetGalley, and I gave this a 3.5 stars. I was really invested in the storyline. The writing was great, and I love how it kind of starts with the action, like right away, and you kind of like see the mother like fall apart, and like I fell for her. The only reason it's a 3.5 is I felt like some of the flashback scenes just got a little bit like slow for me. Like, I wasn't super invested in like that part of the story. So I feel like I was a little bit bored during those moments, but it was just because I was like, I want to get back to like the actual story. But overall, like, beautiful writing, a really compelling like main story, really interesting. I enjoyed it. I think it's definitely like a higher 3.5 rather than a lower 3.5, if that makes any sense. Clearly, I was on an Agatha Christie kick because then I picked up The Labors of Hercules. I also got this from the library and it's overdue, so I need to go return it. But I gave this a 3. So this is 12 mini mysteries wrapped into one mystery. And I liked some of them, but not all of them, which is kind of why I landed on a 3, because like I didn't fully know how to rate it, because like they are all kind of tied together in a way, but like it's hard to rank a collection of short stories as a cohesive work, at least for me in my ranking system. So I landed on a 3 because there were some that I thought were really well done, especially since some of them were only like 20 pages long. The fact that she was able to cram that much like thrillingness, that's not a word, suspense, that's the word I'm looking for. The fact that she was able to cram that much like suspense into like a 20-page story was really interesting to me. So I liked, again, I would say I liked probably about half of them. And then the other half were just a little bit slow, or I just wasn't super satisfied with like how they ended. But cool book, interesting book. Then I listened to the audiobook of The Compound by Aisling Rawle. I wanted to like this so bad. I gave it a 3.5, but it's definitely a lower 3.5. It might even be like a 3.25 because like, again, this is one of those ones where it started out so well. I was like, I can get behind this. I like this. But then I was like, okay, so clearly the characters are like unlikable, but like they'll grow on us. But then they just didn't grow on me. Like, I was like, no, I still hate all of them. And it's advertised as like a dystopian book, and I didn't get those vibes. And I was reading reviews, and some people were like, oh, it's supposed to be like commentary on like materialism and like being obsessed with stuff. And I was like, okay, like I can kind of see that, but like it wasn't really stated, and if like they wanted that theme, I feel like they could have hit home more. It only really came in at like the end. Yeah, so very mixed feelings about this one. I think a 3.5 is like a decent rating. It might lower to a 3 though. Okay, so then on my Kobo, I read Lorne by Susan Morrison. This is an autobiography, not an autobiography, a biography on Lorne Michaels, who created SNL. I have been on such an SNL kick this year. Me and my roommate Ryan loved watching it together. We went to go see the movie called Saturday Night, and then that kind of like sparked our kick. Like we started watching it more, and I've gotten into comedy in general, so like I've been watching more stand-up. I've been like learning more about like sketch comedy. So I feel like I've really gotten into comedy this year, and so I really wanted to read this book. And I gave this a 3.5 as well. That seems to be a common rating for me this month. I was super nervous because I haven't picked up like a real nonfiction book. I say real, like I mean like a biography or like something like that that's like nonfiction in a long time. And so I was worried that I was gonna get bored, and I definitely did get bored at some parts, but I really liked the way that this was written. I thought it was really unique, the way that it's set up as like days of the week. So like it starts on Monday and it like covers like Lauren's childhood, and then the book ends on Saturday, which is like the build up to Saturday night. And the writer like sat in on different like writers meetings and like different behind the scenes stuff and like writes about that in the book, which I think is so interesting. So you kind of get to see how the show is built and like how the week goes leading up to the show, like the different things they go through when like booking hosts and like booking musical guests, and like the decisions they make when they're deciding who hosts, and like the kind of sketches that they write, the kind of sketches that get cut, all those things. I thought that that was super interesting, and also I just loved learning about Lauren's life in general. I learned a lot of new things, which was really cool. So I like that a lot. And then I picked up Night Road by Kristen Hanna. Kristen Hanna always hits. I gave this a 4 stars. I teared up a little bit reading it. I thought it was well written. I really liked oh my god, what is her name? Lexi. Lexi. I almost said Mia, but I knew that was wrong. I really liked Lexi as the main character. I was rooting for her the whole time. Never once did I doubt her. Yeah, I really like this. It was very cookie cutter Kristen Hanna. Like it just felt like a Kristen Hanna book, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but that's why it's a 4 and not a 5 to me, just because I felt like I had read this story before. It also reminded me a lot of Little Fires Everywhere, so if you really like that book, then you'll probably like this one too. All right, so then we got 2 audiobooks back to back. We have A Most Agreeable Murder by Julia Stiles. This one, pleasantly surprised by. I went in thinking I was not gonna like it. Just because I had put it on my want to read list like a really long time ago, like 2 years ago. And so I was like, but I really liked this. As someone who's like a huge like Jane Austen fan, like I grew up around a Jane Austen fan. My mom is like the biggest Jane Austen fan. She loves like period pieces. Like she loves like Downton Abbey, like the Gilded Age, like shows like that. She loves those. Not the biggest fan of Bridgerton, but like she likes the vibes of Bridgerton, if that makes sense. She loves Jane Austen and like everything from that era. And so I feel like this book is just like the perfect nod to that. Like it's a little bit satirical and you can kind of like tell, but I think it's the perfect amount to where you're like, okay, I actually like this story. I also don't typically love like amateur sleuth books, at least in a mystery form. In like a thriller format, I don't mind it because it's like, it's a thriller, so it's kind of got to be the person. Whereas like in a mystery story, I like it when there's an outside detective. But I feel like in this one it works. I liked the amateur sleuth kind of dynamic. I thought it was really interesting. The characters are really fun. I liked all the different like secrets that were going on. The ending was super like fast-paced and exciting, very action-packed, which I loved to see as well. And I thought it wrapped up really nicely. There was a lot of unexpected things that happened, so I really enjoyed this. Then I picked up Somebody's Daughter by Ashley C. Ford. I gave this a 3.5, I think, if I'm remembering correctly. It's a memoir. I feel weird reading memoirs or talking about my feelings about memoirs because like it is someone else's story. So like I feel weird being like, this story was a 3.5 out of 5. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. So I don't really want to go too much into it, but like I enjoyed this. I think it's really cool that Ashley is an Indiana native and went to Ball State, which is super cool. I loved all the chapters talking about Ball State. I thought that was really cool, and I followed her on Instagram afterwards. Really cool person. Like I really enjoyed her voice. She seemed like such a chill, like down to earth person. Like I'd love to talk to her or like meet her someday. But yeah, I gave that a 3.5. I thought it was a solid memoir, and I'm not really gonna go into it because again, I feel weird like critiquing someone's real story, you know what I mean? Okay, and then the last book I'm going to be talking about today is Our Strange Duet by Erin A. Craig, which I read on my Kobo on NetGalley. Actually, no, I read it on my phone on NetGalley. I was super excited about this because, as you all know, I love theater. And I actually really like Phantom of the Opera. I like the movie, and I like the musical, and I like the music. And this was advertised as a reimagining of the Phantom of the Opera. So I was like, okay, I'm locked in. I thought it was going to be like kind of the same ship dynamics, but maybe a little bit of like added extra stuff. This was literally just the plot of the musical written as a book. Like, you know, like the thing I would compare it to is like when you read those like novelizations of Disney movies, like when they have like the little books versions of Disney movies that you like get at the library or like you get at the store or whatever. That's what it felt like. Like it felt like a novelization of Phantom of the Opera the musical. There wasn't really, like, I could tell that the author was, like, trying to add things and, like, trying to, like, make it different, but those things weren't big enough to make it different. Like, she added, like, small things where she was like, oh, you know, like, because of her relationship with the Phantom, Christine puts off hanging out with Meg, and Meg is upset by that. And I was like, okay, but that doesn't really like add any like layers to the story for me. That's just kind of like, we all knew that like Christine was kind of being manipulated by the Phantom. I feel like that's not really old news. I don't know. It just, for someone who had seen the, like if you hadn't seen the musical or like the movie, you might like this because it's literally just the plot of it. But, like, I literally was like, this is just the musical. Like, if you looked at my Goodreads notes the whole time I was reading this, I was like, if I wanted to, you know, watch the musical, I would just watch the musical. So I give this a 1.5 stars. Like, I mean, it was well written, but, like, it did not add anything new to the plot at all. Like, I was not entertained by the actual, like, plot of the book. We still have about like 5 days left in the month, so I'm probably gonna get through more books, knowing me. So again, stay updated with everything I read in real time on Goodreads and Fable, which are linked below. And also you can check my Instagram for final reviews at the very end of the month. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Comment down below your favorite book that you read this month. Obviously, my favorite was Heartless. It's the only 5-star I gave. Oh no, that's not true. I gave a 5-star to Third Girl as well. But Heartless was still my favorite. Yep, and make sure you give this video a thumbs up and subscribe so you don't miss any more videos from me. Check out my social medias in the description box below, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!